Hi, Susie Homesteader of the Rockies, and welcome to the Susie Homesteader channel. And it's Easter time, and today we're going to be making some carrot cake pops with either a candy melt or a frosting on top and a couple of sprinkles. So there's a couple ways to make cake pops. I've made them by hand, where you're just actually kind of rolling them into like a soft dough and putting it on a stick. And there's another way, which involves using a cake pop machine. It's almost kind of like a waffle or a sandwich machine. And this one is from Von Chef, and there's also a baby cake pop maker that's real popular. But for some reason I liked this one. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with a cake box recipe. And this is just a carrot, Duncan Hines classic carrot cake mix that I used. But when you're using a cake mix, instead of using your ingredients from scratch, you have to modify your cake batter a little bit. And that usually involves just doing either no oil that the recipe will call for, and or more eggs. So you're looking for something that's just a little drier than you would normally have in a cake recipe. And I'll have instructions for you on that. But for the most part, the easiest way to do this is just get a cake box recipe, and this one will be for a carrot cake. And then change that recipe a little bit, which I'll explain to you later. And then pour about 1 tablespoon of batter each in your cake pop machine. And then you can spray this too with some oil, but I didn't really see that big of a difference since it's kind of has a Teflon coating on it anyway. But go ahead and pour your batter into each little slot there, and then close your lid. And usually it's about 4 to 6 minutes, but sometimes it kind of depends on what kind of batter you're using or how thick it is. This machine in particular seemed to work better like right around 4 minutes because it cooks super fast. So I would say just don't overcook them, because then they're just not as soft. But that's all you need to do is put it in there, take them out. And what you're going to get is something like a little ball, like a little cake ball, just like that. And then what you want to do is take one of your cake pop sticks and get a little bit of frosting on the bottom of that cake pop stick, and actually use that as kind of like a glue inside your cake pop. So you're going to kind of stick that inside your cake pop. I actually already had a little bit of frosting on this one already. But that is kind of like the anchor for your stick, and that just keeps them on there a little more secure, and that dries super fast. So there is your cake pop on a stick, and then you're going to take that cake pop and you're going to get either a bag of candy melts, which the Wilton brand makes, and you can get those in craft stores and most grocery stores. But you get a bag of these candy melts, and then just melt those in the microwave. I think it's like a minute to melt them, and put that in your bowl there, melted. Or you can use a actual frosting out of a can, and this one is a French vanilla or classic vanilla, but you can pick any kind of frosting you want. And just put that in the microwave as well, just so it's a little easier to work with. So you don't want to overcook any of these. And then these candy melts, if you've worked with this before, you'll know that these get hard really fast. So if you notice this bowl starting to harden up, just put it back in the microwave again. And then you'll get back to a nice soft, thin layer there. So there's your bowl of candy melts, and you're going to just take your cooked cake pop, which is somewhat cooled off, and just roll it in the candy melt all the way down to where you put that stick in. Roll it around a few times and get a little bit of that excess off so it doesn't run down your stick, and you're kind of good to go. Now, some people recommend putting these in the freezer before you put the icing on or your candy melt on, just to get everything to dry faster. But if your cake pops are cooled off enough, you really don't have to stick them in the freezer. But if you want, you can put these in this form in the freezer for about 15 minutes and then put on your candy melts, and they'll dry super fast. But as you can see, that one's already dripping just a little bit, so you want to make sure you get all that excess off. And then get whatever kind of sprinkles you want. Here's some pink ones, or you can use kind of like any confetti sprinkle you want, but don't do anything too heavy on the sprinkles because they won't stay on there. They'll just start kind of melting off with the icing if you make these sprinkles too heavy. So don't do that. And then you're just going to roll your cake pop into your sprinkles, and however you want that to look. Really, this is just for looks for the most part. And you have a Easter cake pop. And these candy melts come in all kinds of colors. Here's an example of a pink one, and that's a blue. But this is what you're going to start with, and then you can put any color, white, pink, blue, that you want on your cake pop, and any color sprinkles or kind of sprinkles that you want. There's all kinds of fun things you can use to roll your cake pops in. The last batch I made, I used coconut, some shredded coconut. I used little tiny pieces of nuts. You can use, gosh, there's all kinds of fun things, but I'll have that list for you too. But lots of stuff that you can roll them in besides sprinkles. And then most of these cake pop machines, when you buy them, will give you some kind of a little tray. Not the basket, but they will give you some kind of a little cake stand or cake pop stand to put them in. And this one had this little tiny one that came with it, or you can create your own. But I just stuck mine in a basket, and there you go. That doesn't get much easier. And you can leave these out and not have to really worry about, oh, well, that one's dripping a little bit, but not have to worry about them going bad or anything, because they'll dry nice and hard. So there you go. There's some cake pops. And, don't forget to do some little cute Easter decorations in your kitchen, too. This is nothing more than a paper mache bunny and a paper mache egg that I spray painted a glossy brown. So now it just looks like a giant chocolate Easter bunny. And you can put that in a bowl or, in a big glass jar, anything you want. And then there's some other cute ideas where you could just take a candlestick, any kind of candlestick base that you can find, and glue something like a glass bowl on top of it, or a plate, or anything where it would turn into either some kind of a little Easter egg holder, which is what I did with this one, which was super easy to do. I just glued a glass bowl on top of a candle holder. Or you could get a little fancier about it, and you could take something like a different or taller candlestick and turn that into a cake stand by just gluing a giant plate on it. So you can use a hot glue, or you can use that E600 glue, anything that will kind of permanently adhere some kind of a platter or a tray onto a base that's somewhat stable. So, and don't get too tall in those cake stands, because then you might lose your whole cake. So there's a couple fun ideas for you for Easter crafts and Easter cake pops. So I'll have more items for you to put on those cake pops on a list for you. And you can buy sticks that are either disposable, or you can buy cake pop sticks that are plastic and reusable. So lots of fun things for making cake pops. And if you have any questions, come see me on my website, Susie Homesteader of the Rockies. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye. So let's get started. Subscribe to the Susie Homesteader channel, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.